Te kawenga I ngā whakataonga I tikanga ki uta ki a tai. Reo ai, ui katoa o te tātoka. Haumi ai, hui ai, ai.
Okay, do we have any apologies? I think Rick said we've got everybody here.
Yeah, no, amazing, eh?
Well done.
First time for a while.
Okay. Declarations of conflicts of interest through this paper. Is anybody, we'll just bring them up as they go along. Like to have a confirmation of the minutes.
Yeah. You want to move those, thing I'd like to
Move
say.
them. Do we
And
have
I'm happy to second.
them? Okay, Lucas. Go to item on page 30. All in favour?
Aye.
Yes. I'll go to page 30, receipt of the action sheet. 5.2.
Move that we receive it, Jeff.
Okay,
And happy to second it, Jeff. John.
second it. Okay, and-
I've got a question.
okay, Rick.
Are we doing the workshop on the 30th of July? Or?
Yes, we are.
No, perfect. On the Willows? Yep, thank
Okay.
you.
Amy, have you got anything you'd like to bring up?
No, I'm happy, thank you.
Can I open up to the floor? Any discussions? Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Passed. Okay, I've got page 33. Regional Land Transport Plan, 2021 to 2027, 3-year review.
Yeah, I'll move recommendations, Chair.
I'll second it.
Joe and John? Yep. Okay, Joe, you can start the conversation.
Yeah. I'd just like to thank all involved for the huge amount of work put into this, and the base document, of course, was the original document, Chair. That was there. Is that me? That previous regional transport committee put together, we just reviewed it. So the majority of the document was untouched, and I'd just like to acknowledge the people who put the first document together. The transport committee, our elected members, and Steve Mutton was very helpful. His advice through that process, and we had huge staff support. So there were lots of good effort put in, and of course the public who submitted. So this is quite a big task to do. Very pleased to see us at this stage. This is effectively a bid that we put to the NZTA board for funding for our region, and they can respond to it. The government has revised the government policy statement on land transport, and that the revisions to that have been very helpful in the direction we've embarked on. And the direction is essentially back to basics, trying to get our road maintenance going again. 101 roading, which is drainage, water management, and preservation of the impervious seal on roading. So that's sort of where we trust to.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Now you moved to you wanting to take all 3 of those at once?
Yes.
Okay, John. Any discussion, John?
Oh, I just found it quite a neat process. I attended the meeting at only Mangawai. Must have done one a day with them, I can't remember. And you've got different people with different problems all around the north. Running is, quite a crisis. But Mangawai were the most happiest with their roads. I was a bit surprised. So probably encourage more people to get involved with it. But disappointed with the number of people that came out. But anyway, I think we ended up in a good spot, and we know this is an essential part of the transport system, our roading. And yeah, I think we've got.
Do you think it was promoted enough, John? I know it was on the back of our LTP. Was there sort of been enough gap between it?
I suspect it wasn't, but no one attends our council meetings today, so I don't know.
Okay, okay. Open it up to the floor. Any other discussion, Jack?
I'd just like to ask Joe, given the really fast moving changes in the whole landscape, with political, weather, funding, other considerations, obviously you all had to be very nimble in putting this together. Are you satisfied that you arrived where you needed to be with this?
I think with the plan itself, we are, and we've had the 17A review, which is part of the role of the Regional Land Transport Committee to review the progress towards achieving that plan. So that was a pretty big one. The outstanding one is we've put into the state highway maintenance and management, and that across our district is a pretty big concern, and it's a pretty big one to bite off. Yeah, because effectively we do have a role, because you notice in the Regional Land Transport Plan is the state highway outputs, and that really needs a very good and respectful relationship with the Minister of Transport to achieve that, quite frankly.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's a mutual relationship.
All right. Julie, hand up.
Kia ora. I'd just like to thank Joe and John for their leadership on this. I think, as one of the major tasks of the Regional Land Transport Committee, that you've shown real robust and passion for this kaupapa. I attended the consultation for Whāngai Day, and I'm always interested to hear the public's varied ideas on how to solve our issues, and I think that you've put together a really great case for investment in the north, so thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Tui. Okay, so we're going to take all these three at once. So all in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Could you record my appreciation notes?
Yes.
I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Part of the minutes.
Yep. Okay. The next item is biosecurity operational plan, page 153, 6.2 item. Got three items. Jack, you would like to move?
Yeah, I'd move all three.
Marty, you'll second it. Okay, Jack, this is your.
Well, it's a statutory document under section 100 something of the Act. We have to have an operational plan which sets out what you intend to do this year for the 10-year regional pest management plan, which is also a statutory document. So it's something we need to do every year. There's really no change to this one from last year. It's just continuing on that work. The only note I would say that probably next year's will probably need to be a little different, because we'll be trying to wrap up the deliverables for the 10-year plan. So there'll be a little bit of mop up in that, but I think this year's is fine. It's steady as she goes. There's been a number of huge challenges to the biosecurity team. Of course, number one is Kalerpa and all the resources and money that's soaked up. So no, I think it's fine to go through as a steady as she goes document. Thank you.
Never-ending goal plan to be attacked with it as well.
Absolutely.
But Marty, you were said next.
Yeah, second, just to comment that in the same way, it's pretty movable feast in terms of what's coming at us. There's also lots of tools that are continuously evolving. So I'd like to see a drive for best practice and adopting best practice as it comes along, making certain of potentially archaic means of.
Okay, so you're thinking, you're saying the operation of this needs an upgrade again?
It just needs probably an addition of best practice. That it's noted that, I mean, there's no sort of operational drivers in it that I could see, but just method as they evolve, being adopted, update, master side.
Okay, so all right. Okay, noted. Joe?
Yeah, I've just got a question. I'm sure Jack will be able to help me. Site specific, the thing about Lake Marbury, the exotic flora and fauna in there that appear to be linked to the collapse of that lake. How do we actually get management of the control of those organisms into these plans here?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Well, there's no provision in the current regional pest management plan for integrated pest management of Lake Omapari, but it is a site of incredible interest to us. One at which we need to demonstrate more than the de minimis approach to biosecurity management, because we were part of putting in silver carp there, and we were part of what we were and grass carp there, and so we've been part of the kind of mechanical management of that lake in the past, and so I'm not sure if anyone knows exactly what kind of impacts those interventions have had. So we need to make sure that we follow our own best practice in terms of what we do there. But I agree with you, management of that lake will require an integrated best practice management regime, which could include management of animals that are currently not included as pests. So it's not going to be easy. It's something that I believe we will address through the development of the next regional pest management plan. Now, you know, Don and I have discussed this. We're talking about black swan, which may or may not be possible to include, but we're talking about Canada geese. But there's a whole bunch of other issues that will come into it. Some of those cannot be addressed necessarily by the regional pest management plan or its operational plan. They have to be addressed by other mechanisms. So yes, good question. It's not something we can solve overnight, but I think council has an ethical responsibility to be involved, including contributing to the cost of future management options for Lake Omapari.
Thanks, Chair.
That's all I can add at this moment.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Don, to that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, nothing at this stage. I think it's, of course, covered everything. The review of the pest management strategy would consider site lead management at iconic places throughout Northland, and it would be council's decision of what those sites would include.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favour of taking the three recommendations?
Aye.
Against? Passed. All right, moving on to page 182, item 6.3. The approval of the draft future development strategy for public consultation. Now we have got the main leader here sitting in the room, Hamish. So if I can have I'll move it. I have a seconder, please.
I'm happy to second that.
Okay, well, I'd just like to welcome Hamish here. It's been a long journey. I think we met last September, was it? September we started? Yep. Myself hasn't had a lot to do with it once I've been chair, but definitely Amy, who's sitting in the room, has had a lot to do with it. Very inspirational, the time that it takes to being put into this. So I'd like to open it up to Amy.
Yep.
Have a thought.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, so I guess I'm really happy to be able to support us moving these recommendations today to get this draft out into the community for consultation. So it's still a draft at this point, but the process to date has been quite long and involved, and it's been a pleasure and quite a lot of learning for me to be involved. So myself and Jeff for NRC, we also had two TTMAC members representing for Northland Regional Council, or the region, I guess, and also worked with two councillors from WDC and two Te Wharearea members as the committee that worked on this. I want to acknowledge the staff, the planning staff from WDC and NRC. They worked really well together, did amazing work listening to our broad-ranging discussions in the room, and then going away and kind of turning that into the strategy, or the bones of the strategy, and over time that became the document that we are looking at today. And yeah, really interesting from me at the start of the process as well. The team worked really closely with government departments. So this is about it's about designing a plan for the growth that we know will happen in the Whangarei district, and being really well prepared and purposeful with where that growth is planned. And so as part of that, we have been working, well, the team have been working with the government departments, things like Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education, also a whole lot of key industry and infrastructure providers for the district. So huge amount of work has gone into this, and this, I guess, is just the beginning, really, because the concept is now it goes out to the community and we can hear everybody's thoughts. There's some quite big changes that are being promoted as ideas for how we can best fit growth within the district, and it will look after our beautiful environment, which is why everyone wants to live here, and also really help us build that sense of the CBD and the town itself being really healthy and a really vibrant place to live. So yeah, look, I'm pretty excited to actually hear the consultation feedback. We did some early consultation just online and got heaps of really interesting and positive feedback, and it really felt that the community was quite excited about the positive change that this can help bring about. So yeah, thank you. And I understand, I don't know if WDC have signed this off yet. Has it been to WDC yet?
Oh,
No.
right, yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it'll go to them as well, and then I guess the formal process will begin. So yeah, thanks guys, thanks team.
Okay, Hamish, could you just let us, just let our council know what is from the steps from now to the end, like what is, how many more meetings we've got, consultation time, that sort of stuff?
So through the chair, all going
Oh,
well today.
come up. Yep.
So through the chair, all going well today and all going well on Thursday on Whangarei District Council side. Our formal consultation program will be commencing from the 3rd of August. So that's next Saturday, and we'll be consulting for approximately 1 month. So that wraps up on the 2nd of September. So over that consultation period, we're going to be running a number of drop-in sessions with the community, but we're also going to be running some tailored sessions with local businesses, with residents and ratepayers association groups, as well as Hapu. So again, while we've been consulting for the last 12 months, really this is the time to ensure that people have got clear visibility of the strategy and what we're proposing, but also have a fair opportunity to be inputting into the strategy. So following that process, we'll then be going through our issues and options report, and we'll then be providing another opportunity for community to provide go through the formal submission process through a hearings and deliberations process. At this point in time, it is our Future Development Strategy Working Group who will be running that session. So again, that's the group that Amy was speaking to beforehand. And then again, we'll go back through the document, go through the final changes, and we'll be seeking the formal adoption of the strategy by the end of this year.
So how many meetings have you had up to date?
Specifically for the working group.
Yeah.
Through the chair, we've been meeting every fortnight, just depending on where we are at with the project. There's been cases where we've needed additional time to go through, to essentially to draft the strategy, but there's been a huge amount of commitment and work, not only by the staff, but by our governance group. We recognise that the process has probably taken longer than anticipated. We've had a lot of changes with government around government direction around Three Waters, but as well, we understand that there's some real capacity constraints across local government in general. So we've had to adjust to all of those challenges.
Thanks, Hamish. Any questions for Hamish?
Got one.
Yep, John.
It's to do with roading. So I'm on the Regional Transport Committee, and Simon Reid from Whangarei Council suggested that we should be looking at a suitable bypass to bypass Whangarei. I see it's not your plan, is that outside your scope? It's quite a difficult thing to do.
Yes. Yeah, through the chair, it's not outside the scope, but those are more conversations that are being had within the Transport Committee, from my understanding. That's been I think that's the benefit of the process around the strategy is, there's real linkage and interconnection around with Waka Kotahi and other government agencies. As councils, we can't do it alone. So again, this is it's a 30-year strategy. These conversations are meant to be ongoing, and as part of the requirements that we have with these future development strategies, following the adoption, we're then required to build our implementation plan so we can, explore those conversations further.
Marty, you had a question?
Yeah, thanks, Hamish. Just before the outset, we did ask that perhaps we should be including people from further afield than just Whangarei district. I hope in the development of the plan that it thinks a bit more regionally, looking at the boundaries or our shorelines, not locally looking upwards. In 40 years' time, we might have a population of 350,000 at the present growth rates. Kirikiri, Waitangi Pahi might be a city. We might have an IT base hub in Ngāwhā. So I'd like to think that perhaps we can be thinking big picture, including that in this, and particularly regarding the airport. By then there'll be perhaps the glider going from here to Auckland, so Whangarei will be well serviced by that. But perhaps looking closer or looking more completely at a potential airport further afield than just Ruatangata, where it might be appropriate for a regional development plan included in the Whangarei development strategy. So just include that for the record now.
Yeah, through the chair, I've got absolutely no pushback to that. I see that as the natural progression for the region.
Thanks.
Yeah, just thinking, Mr. Chairman, just to follow on from what Marty said, it's a shame that we didn't have a regional development plan just to cascade down from rather than the other way around. Because, for instance, transport, I see the plan states that like public transport, passenger rail goes as far as Hekarangi. I don't find that very vision-like at all. I think that this plan seems to have a bit of a 5 to 10 year focus, not a 30-year focus. I just find the plan a little bit underwhelming in terms of its overall vision for Northland. But that's probably because it's focused on Whangarei. It's a pity it didn't work, underneath an overarching Northland-wide plan. But that's where we are. What else have I written here? I think we could have it could make more of the cultural opportunities to develop Whangarei is a real cultural city in the same way that Rotorua is. I look at Rotorua and I say, boy, that celebrates Maori culture. We're not doing that here. And we're the birthplace of the nation, as we say. I think it makes us more, not only is it a great idea for the people, but it's marketable. It's something that we could do better. And for instance, I think it's something that we're going to focus on with our own developments further downtown. But I'd like to see that as an overlay for the whole district. And I'd urge our council to make a fairly strong and comprehensive submission on it. I mean, the document lays out all the issues very nicely. I'm really pleased about the knowledge precinct. I think that's a fantastic idea, but I'd really like to see that bigger and stronger. We need to keep our people here, the young people here, and obviously the Marsden development looks pretty good. Buses and rail, I think, is a little bit underwhelming, but there we are. We'll make a submission. But I'd like to thank everybody that's been involved in the document. It certainly looks good and it reads well. I just think it could have a little bit more ambition. Thank you.
Rick, did you have your hand?
Yeah, sure. And I just wanted to ask, have we worked together on doing one of these before? I don't think we have at NRC&W. It's the first time. So, because I remember I've submitted to a couple in the past, I think 2004 and another one, and really I did feel there was plenty of local input into it and not much action. So I do believe, and I do thank you for that. It looks fantastic, and I think it's really important to stress that we're not only combining with NRC and WDC, but obviously PD Max there, so Iwi and Harper are involved. So it's really important to stress that at the consultation phases, because I feel that people think it may be one area or another, and I really think we're all getting together behind it, so it's really important. And I do hope that the proposals in it are achievable, and also the comments are listened to. So I think it's a great job, and thank you.
Okay, these are the two NRC staff that were working on it. So tremendous about our effort. Would you like to come forward, Ingrid?
Sorry?
Got anything to say you'd like to say?
No, just as far as the Jack raised the regional issue, and that certainly that would be ideal if we could have done a regional one, but with the government scrapping the spatial planning legislation that would have required that, we fall back onto the NPSUD, which does just look at a district focus, with Whangarei being the only tier 2 council that's required to do that. So we are somewhat limited, but I think we have gone a reasonable way to looking at that wider regional focus and acknowledging the importance of Whangarei for the whole of Te Tai Tokerau. So we have tried to weave that in there, and we've heard voices from around the region, and obviously the consultation the event will be focused on the Whangarei district, but it's open to the whole of the region, and we'll be promoting it through our channels. We had a chat to our comms team yesterday about ways to get it out to the wider region, so that's in progress as well.
Okay, Amy, you had a...
Yeah, I just had a process question. I said George has got his hand up too. I'll just ask mine because it's quite quick, I think. Just around, so obviously we've workshopped this when it was a bit further back in the process, but now we kind of have the fulsome document. But NRC is actually part of the, we are putting it out there in partnership with WDC. So would we submit, or would it be a process through which we as a council workshop it, and then I bring that with the staff through? I'm just wondering, what's our process for getting a higher level of detailed feedback?
Through the chair, in normal practice, you wouldn't be submitting on the future development strategy as we've co-developed the strategy itself. However, if there is a desire across the room to hold specific workshopping options on the future development strategy, it's something that we can build into our consultation process.
Okay.
Yeah, follow-up question.
Oh, yes.
You mentioned a hearing. Oh, I assume that NRC and WDC would sit on that hearing panel.
So that would be through the chair that the Future Development Strategy Working Group, under the terms of reference, all of the members who have been involved throughout the entirety of the process will be running the hearings process.
We just have to, it won't be a formal submission. We can still provide our collective feedback.
But individual councillors can make their own submissions.
Yeah. Okay, George, you've got your hand up, and Joe, you have your hand up. George Riley.
Morning, everybody. Thank you. Recognising it's draft, and we'll go for consultation. I only have a short question. Is there any risk with the complete absence of mention of iwi throughout the document?
Hamish or Ingrid?
I think we have mentioned there's perhaps a more stronger focus on the hapu being the haukainga for this area. That's through the chair, we have the relations that we've been working with from the Whangarei district. We work at a hapu based, and that's the direction that we've been receiving from our Māori Outcomes department. But if that's seen as a risk from the regional council side, who I acknowledge represents the entire Northland region, I think that's things that we may need to address when it comes to the final makeup of the document.
Does that answer your question, George?
Somewhat, but just as long as it's there before the councillors, that's all.
Okay. Do we have any other questions,
it's
Joe?
Important, just on that, sorry, Joe, that we can't ignore Ngāti Wai. We cannot ignore the presence of Ngāpuhi in Whangarei. We cannot ignore Ngāti Whātua, so just for our councillors who are representing us and our relationships that we have that are very important to us. So ensure that that is followed through. Thank you.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, it's been raised by most people that we haven't actually got a regional strategy that this is being informed by, and infrastructure. We've got some stuff with the integrated transport study, which is a strategy, and it has been updated over 20 years. And the Western Bypass has been raised by Simon Reid on behalf of Whangarei District Council. There's whole lots of real big pieces that of infrastructure that we really just got to start getting our heads around, because we don't want misfits or ill fits, I suppose we should call them. So I really support the work we're doing, and that's a discussion we should be having with our council, because at our end we've got to get our heads around that one. And also it's very valuable if we want to seek government assistance on stuff, because quite often our requests to government for assistance are on pretty peripheral projects that rely on key infrastructure that's substandard. Yep. And so it's a big one. Talking to ourselves here, not much homes, but good work. Yeah,
it's going to be robust deliberations.
Yeah.
So, yep. Thank you, team. Yep. Great job. Okay. Thanks.
Good thing that Whangarei now belongs to Northern Link.
Not you.
So
We haven't agreed.
So can we have all in favour
Yep.
to approve the 3 items?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, council submissions lodged under delegations, retrospective approvals.
I'd like to move
6.4, page 229. So that was Jack. You want to move them all, Jack?
Yeah.
Do I have a seconder for that? Okay, Peter Lucas. Okay, Jack, would you like to start the discussion?
Oh, I don't think we need to discuss it. We've all seen drafts. I'd like to thank the staff for being so darn nimble and getting these put together in very short order. So I think they've done a very fine job. I find myself agreeing with every word of it. I think that it's been crafted to hold the line where we believe we absolutely need to, but also to be as flexible as we can, given the present government's intentions with regard to these matters. So, I think they're crafted about as well as can be expected, really. Well, no, I think they've been crafted expertly. Thank you.
Okay, Peter Lucas.
I have nothing more to add other than I think that we workshopped these items quite intensely, Mr. Chair, and all my questions were covered in those engagements, and I'm supportive of the retrospective approval of these items. Kia ora.
All right. Okay, open to the floor. Joe?
Yeah, I'm actually going to vote against them. And I just must acknowledge that this is they're a consensus of this council. I'm not a consensus, no, a majority view of the council, but I think some of the components in here would make it. What the government was endeavouring to do is actually sort out some of the stuff that NRC is actually promulgated, and in particular with fresh water. And I just think we're supporting stuff that's unmeasurable and have huge economic effect on our communities.
Yep.
Don't want to labour it, but I
Okay.
just think.
Any other discussion around this? Okay.
Could I ask, sorry, is there particular parts of the submission that you disagree with, Joe?
Yeah, the reference to Mana OTY. You can't measure it. It's abstract, and I think what I respect everybody else's viewpoint, but I think this would be an SNA moment when it actually comes down to reality. And you find a lot of Maori landowners themselves are going to find it pretty difficult too. So I think that's one, and I think what we do is submitting like this, we actually polarise ourselves and our council, on this matter. We've had a lot of submissions to the draft freshwater plan, which read this effectively are being ignored. So, but yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Could I should suggest, that this time that we do have now is the prime time for us to work with landowners to try and get these, everything that we can right for them. And I also would like to acknowledge the capacity of this council is, I agree with Joe, it's lacking in terms of understanding how you measure these things, because this has been a non-Māori institution for so long. But I would like to acknowledge our team for growing the Māori monitoring in the mātauranga within our institution, and I support Joe that we should try to continue to grow that capacity. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, taking these three together. All in favour? Aye. Aye. Against? Okay. Chris, you got that? Yep. Thanks. Okay, page 245. Item 6.5. Now, this is the RMA Hearing Commissioners approval and appointments procedures. Reported from Colin Dale.
Sorry.
No. Oh, sorry, 6.5. Sorry, I'm looking down the wrong one. Joint delivery of local government economic development services. Okay.
You moved it straight to the bottom.
You moved it. We got Rick. Who was the seconder?
Rick was seconded.
Oh, who was it?
I was first.
Marty. Okay, sorry, mate. Keen. Love to see it. Okay, report from Daryl Jones. We've got 5 recommendations here. Are you taking, Marty, you want to?
Yeah, you'll move all 5.
Move all 5 together? Okay, Marty, would you like to start?
Yeah, I think it's great that Pangere wants to come into the fold of making it a regionally bound and visionary group, particularly for the Pangere proposed plan. Was a great statement. So that we are becoming more inclusive, more efficient with delivery of some of the services. There may be challenges, yes, of having more people in. It's not just an autocratic thing, but best outcome is all working together.
Okay. Sort of covers off our strategy, what we're talking about before, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Inclusive. So, Rick?
Yeah, I think it's well overdue. Won't say too much, so it's great. I just want a clarification, and I'm sure Daryl, I could have asked him, Daryl, but on page 287, it's got the quorum there is 50% of the members. So there's 8 members, 2 of each. So if I'm just trying to get this right in my head, if the quorum's 50%, so that means only 4 members turn up, and then those 4 members can make a decision, a full decision. Is that right? So say if nobody from Kaipara turns up and nobody from Northern Regional Council turns up, yes, those 2 can make a full decision.
Yeah, just to clarify, there is just the 4, but they have to be at least 1 from each of the council.
Oh, right, sorry. Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
I was getting
There's lots of detail.
No, good, got that, thanks.
So we've got Peter Lucas Jones and Tui.
Thank you.
Just in response to that, I just wanted to ask regarding our alternative membership, which of course is an opportunity for us to ensure that there always is representation, and how, of course, we can make sure that when someone isn't available because they might be overseas, for example, that we reach out to one another in advance of that, so that we know that we always have ample representation, and that's still part of the plan, right?
Okay, Tui.
How did you value the share price? $2?
That's just the historical number. That's been on the book, and it doesn't reflect the value, as it were, of the asset in terms of Northern Link. That's just the historical value of the firm in terms of for an account, purely from an accounting point of view.
Pre-inflation. Okay, any other discussion? So we've got Joe and then Jack.
I'd just like to acknowledge to Shane Jones in his guidance on this one, because I think he had a big part to play and bringing all of North together in this matter.
Okay, Jack.
Just a little brief question to Daryl. I was talking to a very prominent politician from WDC about 3 weeks ago and said, congratulate them on this marriage document, and he said this is only year by year. So that doesn't seem to make sense to me. This basic document puts WDC on exactly the same footing as the other councils, doesn't it? Permanently?
Only for 2 years, Jack.
Only for 2 years.
Only for 2 years. It's not in the long-term plan. John.
Okay.
Sure, Chair, that was the point I was just going to highlight for councillors. If you refer to page 275 in the document, you'll see that WDC has only provided a financial contribution for the next 2 financial years, this financial year and the following financial year, with a subsequent decision by WDC as to what their long-term investment is. What we've made sure we've got in the shareholders agreement is an agreement to what the methodology of funding is, and then also there's a process there of if WDC doesn't meet that funding methodology, then there's a process for shareholders to go through to resolve that situation.
Yeah, $20.
Yeah. Well, no, so it outlines that, and this has always been the agreement that we put forward at the start, was that NRC would provide 60% of the funding for Northern Link, and the district councils between them would provide 40% of the funding. And that's right. And so we've provided what those percentage splits are between the councils, and it's up to WDC in their 3rd year of funding to go, are we going to continue with our level of funding to continue to be a shareholder of Northern Link?
I guess it incentivises Northern Link to crack the whip and get on with it.
Keep the relationship good.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay, George, and then Rick.
Kia ora, everybody. Thank you. Congratulations for what's been produced so far. I only have a question in respect of where John was just talking about page 275, the investment and growth reserve. And I don't see a date as to when those contributions shall be made. So just in terms of the business planning exercise, the company directors would probably want those funding contributions locked into a date so they can produce a business plan for the shareholders to approve. Sure.
Okay, Jono?
Pass that one to Daryl. I'm happy to have a crack at that.
Daryl, do you understand the question?
You'll be more likely to get it right than I am.
Thank you very much. So in terms of just to clarify, the funding from all the shareholder councils, including NRC and the district council, that funding goes into the investment and growth reserve, and that's what the commitment is into. The funding then is provided out of the investment growth reserve to 3 different types of categories of funding, one being, and the major one being, the operational expenditure of Northern Inc. So we do ensure through and that's that level is determined through the statement of intent process that we go through each year. We provide in terms of with the funding that is agreed about the Northern Link's operating, that is provided on a quarterly basis to Northern Link, so that they have certainty about the funding that will be provided. To date, the funding that has been provided to us by FNDC and KDC over the last 2 years, we're into the 3 years of their shareholding, they provided that funding into the IGR right at the start of the financial year. So in terms of cash flow, it's always been able to meet and help Northern Link meet its requirements. Recognising, like as you rightly point out, the need for the directors to understand that funding is going to come through. So we do to ensure that happens.
Thank you, Daryl. Kia ora.
Okay, any other questions?
Yep, I hadn't finished my other question.
No,
actually,
Rick.
but-
Okay, sorry, Rick.
So Daryl, looking at, and I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I go straight to the money and straight to the voting, but, so I may have missed it, but yeah, Whangarei District Council's always contributed, hasn't it? Is that right?
It has been contributing for a number of years.
Yeah.
$105,000 directly to Northland Inc. Okay, in terms of as a contribution to the operations of Northland Inc.
So this 400, say the 475,000 for this next financial year includes that 105.
That's correct. Yeah.
So it's, I mean, the others weren't contributing in that time, were they?
There historically there have been. If you go back 10 years or so, there was that kind of contribution. Then of course WDC has kept that.
So I think it's important to acknowledge that, and I don't know if the document does it, that, you know, they're definitely on board now as an equal partner, but they have been contributing. So, you know, they may have not bought into it at the beginning, but they've definitely put money in, and their contribution over those years would be quite substantial, 105 a year for what, 6 years or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's important too. Thank you.
Deanne?
Through the chair. This is through to the management. Are we getting a return on our investment, seeing as it's quite a substantial annual investment into the operations of an entity?
They're all staying sitting, so I think that was the evil eye. So just to answer, so this is a CCO, not a CCTO, so it's not there to make a profit or provide a return, so to speak. We've got our annual, what's it called, Daryl? A statement of intent with Northland Inc. that clearly sets out the shareholders' expectations of them as a company with clear KPIs and deliverables, and they need to report to us through the joint committee on a quarterly basis. If we're not happy about their performance, we've got mechanisms to be able to go back to them, but we don't get a return on investment per se as in a monetary one, but it's the deliverable against their statement of intent.
So I get this, like, so my question was, you invest $2 million there, just under two, and it'll be $2 million next financial year. It's a substantial investment into another entity to deliver upon outcomes for you. What are the quantifiable returns are you getting? And I get it, you're saying it's in the SIPO, I get it, you say it's in what you're setting for them, but what are the quantifiable returns on that 60% investment for this council? I get it for everybody else, and it's great that everyone's holding hands now and doing a great thing, but what are you getting out of it?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Two quick comments I'd make is, one, perhaps it would be useful, Daryl, if we circulate to all elected members, including our advisors, their last report against their SOI, so you can actually see, I can't answer all of those questions. You can see all of what their deliverables are, so what you are getting for your money. I'd also make the comment, and the chair just prompted me to remind, local government contribution to Northland Inc., and Daryl, correct me if I get this wrong, is about 40% of their operating budget. The remaining 60%, Daryl hasn't jumped up and said I've got that wrong, the remaining 60% is from other grants and subsidies, whether it's from central government, Callaghan Innovation Fund, other sources to fund the delivery of that overall SOI. So our percentage used to be a lot larger. It used to be in the order of about 80%, and over time they've worked hard to increase their budget to deliver more without using rates. But can we just maybe circulate, because I can't answer all of your questions there, and it's a really good question, but to make sure that all of our governance have visibility of what it is that we're asking them to deliver for that investment, and how they're tracking against those deliverables. Steve?
Through you, Chair, I just wonder why, is there any lack of control through bringing another party in?
With Whangarei District Council?
Yeah, and they haven't been part of it for a number of years. I was there at the start.
Okay, who would like to answer that, Jono or Daryl? Okay, Jono.
Yes,
Chair. Daryl, stand up. Look, the issue that Steve's raising is when it was 100% owned CCO of NRC, yes, we had 100% control of their SOI, what we sought them to deliver, no doubt about it. Council has seen the advantage, though, of having one economic development agency that's representing all of local government across the north, and the benefit of having a single voice or a single entity providing that service for all of Taitakato. One of the trade-offs or the balancing there is that actually NRC doesn't have 100% control any longer of the company. It is split equally between four different local authorities. So yeah, it's a balance between having a united shared entity and a shared voice versus relinquishing 100% of that control. So, yeah.
Okay. Rick, are you?
No, I was just agreeing with Steve.
Okay, carry on then, Rick.
No, I'm good.
Oh,
I've agreed with him.
Oh, you've agreed with him.
Delusion, yeah.
Okay, no other conversation around this point? Okay, so Marty and Rick, you moved it. So all in favour to take 5 recommendations together? Favour say aye. Against? Okay, passed. Right, back to the item that I started on, 6.6.
Can I just quickly acknowledge Daryl Jones just at this moment, if I can? My apologies, councillors. He's worked tirelessly around supporting Northland Inc, supporting all 4 councils through this process, and just wanted to take the opportunity to just acknowledge him for his hard mahi behind the scenes to support governance, both at that joint regional economic development committee and our council here, to be able to get us to that point where you guys were able to confirm an actual collective joint CCO. So just wanted to acknowledge Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support. I noticed you've got greyer. Well done. Okay, thanks for your effort, Dale. I know it's difficult getting 4 councils together. Page 2 together. Okay, the rest of the day off. Page 291. That's it. 6.6. All right. Okay, RMA hearing commissioners, approval and appointment procedures. We've got Colin Dale in the room.
Just a procedural matter. Do we or do we not have a potential conflict of interest for 3 councillors regarding this item? So that's yourself, Amy and Tui. And that I'm confident the report is fine. But I'm just talking about
whether we need to vote on it.
Whether you should be voting on it or not. But I'm not saying it's clear cut. What I'm saying is, I mean, if you're already a commissioner, then how is it going to affect the vote? I'd just like us to discuss the procedure around that first, please.
Okay.
Let's start with Jono. Can
you
enlighten us?
Sure, through you, the chair. Whilst I'm considering it on the fly, I don't necessarily think there's a direct conflict of interest. I think it would be prudent potentially for governance to have a mover and a seconder that isn't 3 commissioners that has been on the list. If you were just to be super prudent in your approach here. If you would like a formal position on it, I'd need to go away and get some formal advice on it if those 3 councillors wish to move and second it. But my suggestion would be have 3 others that move and second it, and those 3 are free and able to vote and support.
Well, I'm happy to move.
Okay,
Discussion on that. We want to
have a mover and a seconder.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Just on one point. Look, I'm a certified commissioner. I'm not on this list.
Kia ora, Mr. Chair. I did just ask Colin to double because I noticed that you weren't on that list, Joe. I just so Colin's got a response.
Yeah, so I did email Councillor Carr asking you if you've been certified because it wasn't. This wasn't updated. So you are.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So did you want to be added?
Yes, please.
That's another.
Okay.
That's an amendment, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, this is fine.
So can add that to an amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy with the report. I think it's fine. I just wanted to get some clarity around potential conflict of interest.
Oh, that's good to raise it.
Sorry, through the chair. I think the conflict of interest statement is as long as it's declared in the decision making, you've ratified it. That's just my understanding of what this conflict would be. So those that are in the room, when we're making decisions, you're declared you're there as part of this council. So you have the ability to make the decision as well for the rest of the list. That's just my.
Okay, I'll just say, I'm happy to agree with Deanne there. Also, Chair, just picking up on Councillor Jones's point, if you council wishes to include Councillor Carr on the list,
yes,
it is an amendment to your resolution here, and would just suggest that someone put forward a new resolution would be my suggestion, just a fresh one, to ask that Councillor Carr as a accredited commissioner be added to the list.
So it's not an amendment, it's just an addition.
Okay, Peter Lucas, would you like to bring up?
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
So just to be clear, we originally had Councillor Stolworth and Councillor Jones move the original. The simplest way, if you're both happy with, to include Joe Carr, and that's.
Absolutely, I'm happy to do
and
that.
I'll have the secretary like to that effect.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussions? Yeah, to it.
Is there a reason why councillors have no field of expertise in the table?
I could.
Because we're so broadly, it's alarming. I'm worried, I'm concerned.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, we can populate that information. There's a register and WSP is sort of managing it. We can easily put our areas of expertise on that register. Quite a lot of councillors have. And
John,
it's us to do.
That's what I was just, Colin, I think this is just taken from the register with their expertise. You haven't made up the expertise for the others. It's what's on the register here. So
I guess as a council, is this what we're going through as a process that we need to be confident that the staff can go through? And so having a process where everybody else, the staff has everybody else's field of expertise, but not ours. So, I would like to be reassured that, we're being fully considered alongside everybody else.
So I can give Louis the address to correspondence to actually populate that box. It's up to us individually to do it. Yeah. So
the box exists within the process. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can all four of us can do that if we wish.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we can send an email to all of our certified commissioners with the link to the register for those, and you can put those details, whatever details you want to have in there. So it's online. We've just cut and pasted offline. Colin hasn't populated this himself.
But it is disappointing to me because, when we did the course, we filled out, they sent us back, Yahoo, you made it, you put in your expertise, and you sent it back to them. So they just haven't picked it up and added it realistically. And I suppose I've never checked either. It's the first time, when this paper came out, I'm thinking, oh, shit, I'm expertise of 0. Okay, but I'm not sure what happens and how to do it. So thank you, John.
We can circulate an email to that. Colin, can I leave that with you, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, Jack.
Sorry, one small question. In the chart, what does chair endorsement mean?
It's a certification.
Sorry?
It's an additional certification.
Oh, endorsed as a chair.
Yes. It's a chair certificate.
Endorsed by our chair. Okay, got you. Thank you.
It's another add-on.
Yep. Thank you very much.
I hate to think how much it is. It's quite expensive. Or
Hey, just a note too, through Taiki, we have funding for Iwi and Hapu who are interested in putting members through the Making Good Decisions training. That's part of our regular funding, so it's just something to find people as we look into how we can establish more Māori hearing commissioners for this work.
you did have a group go through last year, Oriel, I remember.
Yes, we did. We had 12 that have successfully completed. I think the challenge will always be through you, the chairs, people getting experience to go on to these hearings. But there are a couple of names there that have come through that process really well.
Excellent. So well done. Excellent. John?
Kia ora, Mr. Chair. Just also to highlight on page, and it's referenced on page 293 at the bottom of the table, this has come as a recommendation from the Audit Risk and Finance Committee. Just also to note that there was also a resolution from the Audit Risk and Finance Committee, which we'll be going back to that August meeting with around the getting further governance guidance on the actual appointment and appointment process. So that will be a subsequent recommendation from that committee to council once we've gone to them here. The committee said they didn't want to wait until we'd done that bit of work. They wanted this list to be approved as quickly as possible. That's why that's here today. At the next Audit, Risk and Finance Committee meeting, we'll have some korero around what that process is to ensure that governance has oversight of that process too.
That's why the committee, which Peter Lucas Jones is chair of, recommended option 2.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we had any other discussion? All right. So we had Rick and Peter. You're happy to take all those 3? So all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Passed.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody going to need a break?
Yep.
Are you okay? You need a break, Rick? Or
No, but happy to have a break.
you happy to have a break? Well, we're going to have a break for 5 minutes. Going for so we'll have a break for 5 minutes. Yep. Okay.
Hey, you, Bruce.
That's true.
So secretarial note.
Yes. No, no worries, Marty.
Oh, we've got
Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised that they don't just lift it and put it in, but to change the subsidy for the wording yourself. Yeah, most of them. An email. I think it's obviously all missed it. Yeah. It's not cheap. No, it's like 10,000. It's around that 2 days. It's mine. Yeah, searching. Yes. You going to that rugby on the 27th? Is it the Saturday? Is it? Saturday.
Thank you.
Come up. I've only got one bed if you want.
No, I've got something else on the Sunday. Otherwise, I would. I see we're all got a cottage for the
Saturday.
Saturday.
So I'm meeting on Friday.
2 p.m. is it?
Yep. That's Russell by the Eldons.
Yep. Places. I'll be there.
Are you playing though, Jeff?
I am playing. I might play for the politicians.
I thought you might be. What about you, Jono? Stripping down?
I've got a pulled hamstring. Just like
hamstring, eh?
Been there with bells on.
I thought of the other one.
I've played rugby since university, George. I realised now sometimes bigger than me. And he's on the sideline.
Is that for Russell, man?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I played the first games at Pukekwa Park way back in, probably 1980 or so.
Okay, did we play against each other, George? We must have wrestled each other over the years, wouldn't we?
No, I'm 65.
Oh, no, you would have been finishing. Yeah.
Yeah. Stop playing in 93, 95.
The curtain raiser. Probably the ball boy. I'm only 45.
Not even, yeah. I never played the game with ball boys. You probably played against some of my former pupils at Hikurangi though.
Yeah. Okay, we're missing one person, but I dare say we're not going to miss at the start, which is Rick. So, speak of the devil. Right. Adoption of the Taitokerau Regional Accessibility Strategy, item 6.7 on page 299. Got Kyla here, yes. The recommendations, these three of them. Do we have a mover? Take all three together, Peter Lucas. And do I have a seconder? Take three together.
I'm happy to second that.
Okay, Amy. Okay, Peter Lucas. Like to open up?
I mean,
discussion?
I'm supportive of this. I think accessibility is extremely important. I was happy to see that there is consideration given for te reo Māori, particularly for our deaf and our blind community, considering how people use devices to communicate. I also think it's important for us to understand the compatibility of those devices and the services that we provide. There is consideration there for the non-speaking community, and I was happy to see that we have evolved as four councils in the terminology that we use to describe what are disabilities, but also can prevent people from participating in society because of discrimination that particular portion of our community are exposed to by people that don't understand the circumstances that they are required to communicate in and receive communications in. So for that reason, I think this is a very, very good step forward for us as a council to address those concerns, Mr. Chair, because discrimination of parts of our community is actually something that we need to better understand as a council. And I think that this goes some way for us to start addressing those things that we need to address.
Okay.
Kia ora.
All right. Okay, Amy.
Yeah, I just really supportive. I guess similarly, yeah, just really important for our region to move forward in this way and bring everybody, you know, with us. And having recently had a family member kind of have a change in their circumstance, I've started to see the world a bit differently, because when you're able-bodied, you know, you just don't even notice steps and bits and pieces. And so it's been a real opener for me as to how different people experience the world around us. So yeah, just very supportive, and appreciation to the staff who have done all the work for us. So, kia ora.
Yep, Jack.
Yes, I'd like to thank staff for putting this together. It's very readable. It's a good looking document. I really like its range, its scope, and in particular, like what Peter Lucas has said about its emphasis on disabled Maori. Look, just one question is, we often hear about new builds and changes to builds in existing buildings where wheelchair access and other disabled access is not included. So, and you think, well, in this day and age, it should never happen. Does this document have any legal status, or is it basically just a guide?
I'll just go. Kia ora, through the chair. So this doesn't have any legal status in that it's not binding. It is a strategic document that will be underpinned by implementation strategies that will be developed by each individual council. That's in recognition of the fact that the council responsibilities, particularly between regional and district, are quite different. Having said that, there's a lot that can be included in those implementation plans to ensure that there is a wide understanding of the issues that are facing people with access needs when those kinds of consents and those kinds of builds are considered. Obviously, for council buildings, that's high priority.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, John?
Oh, just one thing. I was amazed at the stats there, 29%.
Yes.
I know that includes deafness, doesn't it? So that's probably one disabled you don't pick up very easily. On other field days, we have to make a toilet or two, in, for disabled people, showers and stuff like that. There is a cost to our organisation to do this, but because we're trying to have everybody take part in that 3-day event, so we don't grudge it. But I know with my own house, we've been doing that for about 3 years now. It's painful. They've told me that make it for my Zimmer frame so we can get up the. So people are thinking more and more about disabled people, and it's not until you actually take care of some people who are bedridden that you really start to understand the things that you could have had better designed in your own house. And yeah, I've been through that. Thank you.
No other discussion?
I just would like to exercise the right of return, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Oh.
And so much as the implementation is concerned, there's opportunity for us to reach out to organisations like Blind Low Vision New Zealand, and they're an organisation that have volunteers and kaimahi that provide access to policy documents, because sometimes accessibility is narrowed down to physical accessibility, but we often forget that accessibility to information is equally as important. There is also TalkLink. So I'm not sure if we're familiar with TalkLink, but they're a group of speech therapists that also provide information to their clients. So considering those opportunities to make information accessible as well, it might be a way for us to make contact with people working in those fields. Kia ora.
All right.
And congratulations.
Okay, thank you, Carla. Well done. Much appreciated. A bit like Daryl. You're one of those superstars of the group. Well done. Do we have any more conversation around this? Okay. John?
Chair, been wondering where I'd raise this issue. I had an accident and I rang 111 and asked for a helicopter because I'd lost my hand. And they said, we're going to have to send an ambulance out to check that you've lost your hand. Right. So what did I do? Started driving. I had to drive 4 kilometres, get a neighbour to drive me up to Ohio. Look, I didn't realise what it's like. What a dumb question to or request. Say you've got to send an ambulance out to check that I actually lost a hand, They could have, and I wasn't in a position to make any decisions, but they could have said, send us a photo of it to prove it, something like that. These guys who set up these pages of stuff actually missed the beat. And I've met someone else in exactly the same circumstances myself who's had the same problem, and that's a rescue helicopter. So a lot of the stuff is pages and pages of stuff that actually doesn't nuance to reality. And I'll just leave that one there. Should follow my problem up, because I met someone else that your brother's partner who had the same problem, and he had a better outcome than me. You see, but so it's there. Right to work. That's an issue. ACC will fund you to play, but that will help to try to make your work pretty difficult to get.
So are you asking for some help to go back?
No, I actually want to find a solution with this the helicopter one sometime. Okay. I don't need help. I'll just find my own way. But this sort of stuff is we get these documents and sort of shelf in a filing cabinet. Very often they don't nuance to reality.
Any other conversation around this? Okay, so all in favour to take 3 recommendations together? Aye. Against? Okay, moving down to page 335, 6.8. Conroe Public Transport. Now Jack has told me he's already going to move this.
Yes, I'd like to move it. This is my idea.
So can I have a second? As a seconder for this.
Conflict of interest here.
Now, Jack, are you moving to accept all four?
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're moving to accept all four. Do I have a seconder to that?
I can second.
Favour? So John.
No, I'm not looking for less work. It's just about equal division of tasks for all councillors in terms of chairing. And Rick's done it before. He's on the committee already. He knows the territory at least as well as I do, if not better. So I'm very, very happy for Rick to take on this job, and I'm still intending to remain a member of this committee. Thank you. Working party, sorry.
Have a right of reply from you, Rick.
Oh, just that I thought we were having, the committee was chomping on quite nicely, and now we've got a couple of extra meetings stuck in. I thought, well, thanks, Jack. Yeah.
No, we'll
No,
cut back.
it's fine.
So you're fine with this,
6 to
Rick?
3.
Yeah, so gee, I can go away, that's the name of it.
Okay, Joe?
Yeah, I support this, and I think what we've done is just, we've got an extraordinary meeting coming up this week, and that's the way to do it. As required, you can have a meeting.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Okay, John, you did second it.
Oh, yeah, actually Rick took me on a bus tour there at one stage from Kaiwaka.
That's right.
Ruakaka, and it's actually really useful for me to understand where the buses went. So I always said Kaipara never had any bus service, so he actually just
Showed you.
raped in there. From Kaiwaka to Mangawai, I don't really count that as a bus service. Anyway, yeah, I accept Rick's nomination and his expertise on the field. So thank you.
All right. So really no more conversation about this. So to take 4 recommendations together. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Page 338, 7.1, Health and Safety Report for April to June 2024, quarterly and financial year end. Okay. Do I have a mover?
Yeah, I'm
Got
happy
one
to move
recommendation
that
here.
be received.
Seconders. John. Okay, Peter, like this.
Don't have any.
We're just going to move this report.
The document is to be received.
Yep. Documents received. John.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Here's a question.
Oh,
Just a question.
sorry, Deanna.
Through to
Didn't see your hand up.
management. You've had a substantial increase in incidences and accidents. And I get the information that's been provided. Is there some compounding causes or issues that staff, particularly with vehicles? Is it fatigue, or is it why it's increased? One, incidents have increased by 36% in the last year, and near misses have increased by 151% in the last year. Is it, should we just blame it on the Brendoans? But
We've got Bruce and Colin. Bruce, you go first.
So we are doing more driving as we have more staff out doing more work. And we've also encouraged reporting of near misses, and that's resulted in a higher level, a much greater level of reporting through the QR code system. So it's a combination of those factors that have driven those things.
thank you. Question answered.
Okay.
I just mentioned that QR system. The QR code system sounds really cool. It's great to see that something as simple as that is actually having such a big impact on the number of near misses and things that are being reported. So yeah, good on you, and it'll be interesting to see how that information, what it shows us over time.
Okay, we'll move on to the Chair's report, item 7.2 on page 347. It's be received. Do I have a mover?
Yes, move yourself.
I'll move it.
Yeah. Digging it.
Okay. Joe, any discussion?
All good. Keep up the work.
All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Page 348.
Yeah, I'll move the Chief Executive's report be received, Chair.
Okay, and do I have to second it?
I'll second it.
John? Any discussion? John?
Waiatera comes up first with wastewater, so maybe the airport and the railway should be gone out that direction, as that's an area I go home. There was another. I marked all this in Stella, but for some reason all my marks have gone. But I saw one place where you talked about workplace safety and bullying, and I seem to have lost it. Near the end of this. Sorry, I'll look at it and I'll come back to that.
Come back to the chair. If you've got a specific question, I'm happy for you to come directly back to me and I can provide a response, councillor.
Okay. A lot of work goes on, so yeah, well done. Any other conversations on the floor? To it?
I just have a question around sentiment. I know that this is sentiment, page 369.
Okay, 369.
The sentiment of the public towards us, it seems to be quite generous, I believe. Maybe I live in a different bubble to everybody else. And I know this is last month, this is not this month, but this month I witnessed a whole lot of poor feedback around regional council and what happened with the fish, the zombie fish in Kaipara. This is why I was interested to attend, to go over with you guys, even though I wasn't asked to go. So, I'd like us to work more closely around, even if it may not be coming up directly on our Instagram and on our, but that people are posting about us, and there's a lot of comments that go through. And I had to stop reading them because there was a lot of really negative ones. It gets a bit much, but I think, if our Connect Comms team could maybe, look beyond just our accounts to get more of actually, an understanding of what the real sentiment is out there around us. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. John was you said 369. John was there yesterday, meeting with locals.
Oh, we talked about catching up about it this afternoon.
No, he was here yesterday as well. So.
Again, yeah. But to touch on it, yeah, it's interesting what happened over there with aluminium and the water and zombie fish, but they didn't quite. We're not sure whether that caused a zombie fish or whether something else. It was quite a good meeting, as one person from Helensville was testing the water, an old Dargle boy, and they actually tested it at the boat ramp, which is on the Kaipara Harbour, and they went in straight inland about 1 kilometre and they tested in there and found it. The aluminium wasn't there, so that means it's probably the source is coming from inland from Dargle itself, which was an old brickwork. So they're sort of steering that direction that was used as part of the brick processing work. So it's quite good. But it was a very interesting meeting there, and I think a lot of people sort of aired their feelings, and I think we came out regional council pretty well from that debates that we had. One thing that came out of the meeting that was quite strange was that they talked about the rate rise, and they gave Kaipara what for about it. And we didn't get asked a question as if we don't charge rates. So people generally don't know the difference between regional council and their own, in this case, Kaipara council. I thought it should be strange. Yeah.
So there's been, you went out yesterday about the flooding because there was a king tide in Joe Camuso.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a different issue. So they'll be measuring the harbour, and there's a sandbank or two of them that have appeared underneath the Dargle Bridge. People say, well, it's getting shallower, but because Joe's measured the depth of the harbour, and with Gabrielle and other floods, I think it's about 13 years between the two surveys, the capacity of the river is the same. So the sandbanks, although they might be higher, other parts of the river is deeper. There was a concern with Highway 12 that leaves Dargle heading towards Waipua Forest on the North Wairoa River is scouring out. It's getting very deep, and they're supporting. Work was done 30 years ago where they dropped a lot of boulders in there, stopped the scouring, and they feel that's eroded away over time and needs to be done again. The issue is it's not part of Northern Regional Council's flood scheme, so we can do survey work there, but we can't really spend money on that project. So I've got to work with Kaipara on this. So I don't like walking away from a problem, but in this case, we actually don't own it. So yeah, that went quite well yesterday.
They came up Malturian rice grass was another concern that they have. And, you know, we alluded them that we're really concerned that the budget might be taken away from us, from government. They tried to take half away, and we managed to fight for the other half of the half back. You know, it's never ending. Yeah, it's a never-ending concern of theirs. It's blocking up their streets. You know, it's getting up into their little creeks and everything like that. So there's some major concerns there.
One other point on that, residents complained about the rice grass growing on Highway 12, wanted us to spray it or do something about it. And NZTA said, no, you can't do that because it's holding the road up. So we use noxious weeds as part of our roading material.
Yeah.
Through the chair, can I acknowledge John and your team in terms of the wastewater treatment plant compliance in the past 12 months. It seems to have less red in there into those areas, and you see more active treatments of those. But also through the chair and to the councillors, your CEO does more than this, and can I acknowledge him and the work that he's doing at Ilgase, that he hasn't reflected and reported upon here with the 12 iwi of Taitoketo, and just like to thank him for his drive on that. He's the driver at the moment, so thank you, Jono.
Oh, George, and then George, sorry.
Thank you. I just endorse both comments from Deanne in respect to the CEO's performance at the Ilgase, much appreciated. But the first part in respect of the pictograms on page 350, I'm just seeking a little bit of clarification. The colour code, I understand that, and when you see a large amount of red and a large amount of green, you can understand the differences between the two. But I wonder what actually is represented by the size of the sector. Is that a time-based distribution, or is it an amount of compliance across a number of different regulatory aspects of wastewater treatment plants, please?
Okay, we've got Colin Dale here to respond to that.
So, good question through the chair. The pie graphs represent the last 12 months of monitoring events. So the number of events may change between plants. So one plant may have 12 or another 8, but it's really a proportion of the events that have been found to be either compliant or non-compliant or not. So it's based over the previous 12 months and the number of individual monitoring events.
Thank you, Colin.
Any other discussions, Rick?
Yep, I just want on 375 and 376 about maritime. I think it's great that the Waikiri 2 is being deployed nationally as well as a national work as well. So it's obviously a very good investment. So thank you, Regional Council, for supporting that that build, and it was great to go to the launch, and also it's great to see that the old bike's been sold. So perfect.
That was a good win, because talking to like Andrew Johnson, for example, he said to get that money was well done. So, good, well done, John.
Good on you.
Any other discussions?
Sorry, I haven't finished. Environmental scholarship winners. I see they're in the paper. Do we get a chance to meet them? You know.
We talked about it, sorry, through the chair. Yeah, we talked about it. We had one of the successful recipients introduced at the TTMAC meeting, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kairira. The Kairira was introduced there. And so are you talking about the new ones that have just been?
Yeah, the 6 we saw in the paper.
The new 6 ones,
Yeah.
apologies.
So they don't start.
Yeah, well, some of them are still studying.
Yeah.
So we need to wait until they're
Yeah,
available.
I think we brought it up before. We really, I think it would appreciate meeting them.
Yeah, they do a work program through NRC. Is that
they do the work program?
That's right.
So maybe
that's how we worked it through. Te Karera, who came through TTMAC because he was in the Māori relationships team. There were 2 that came through that program. So Rick, at that point, when we've got them through the work program for the students, it's probably more convenient for them to come and meet you all then.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's all. Just good to see them. Thank you.
Just See, John's got his finger out. I know, but there is one thing, John, have we had any other success in our organisation that we haven't acknowledged? You know, like people winning awards or anything like that? You know, just to keep it on our list, because I know I take the break anytime we do see somebody really successful. I'd really like to acknowledge them, especially in our staff. I'll put you under the bus right at the moment, but if there is somebody. Yep, Marty, and
yeah, just part of what George said about the pie charts. If we could have a bit more meaningful, so that we can see if any progress is being made pictorially, where there's one for the 12 months and one for progress over 1, 2, 3 months.
You mean in the comments line?
No, in the compliance for the last 12 months. So we see a pie chart. I think part of it is always red, a little bit of orange. But if there's progress being made, then we can see where it's starting to get a little bit of green. We can see the blue skies ahead. Just to make it a bit more meaningful, the pie charts, yes, we can see that's a horror story there, but to see where there is progress being made. It's a great ask.
Good link.
I'll ask Colin.
I can add another on the pie charts to show the recent results. I think that's what you're after.
Yeah, just so we see a bit of apple pie coming into it. Yeah.
So having two little pie charts, two small ones, so you can see whether there's been improvement or decrease.
Yeah, it's just always
just to acknowledge some movement forward. Yeah.
The answer is yes, but it may just take a bit of time because each time we do this, we have to set up a report. So.
Okay, or the easiest way to acknowledge what progress is being made, I suppose. Visibility.
Chair, would it not be though that if you see progress over time, the red will start to get smaller, as you've seen with some of the other ones, and what Colin's doing is the progress that's been made and the next steps are in the comments.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just thinking that it's kind of covered by the comments list, and if you want a bit more in the comments, we can add more kōrero in that column around what the current situation is, if that's helpful. But you should see if they're starting to improve, that red getting smaller on the month by month meeting.
All right, then just for public visibility of it, if we could have the previous month followed by this month's.
We can do that.
That would do it.
Yep. Happy with that, Colin?
Just, yeah, and the other thing to add, of course, if say a treatment plant may have 4 visits, then you don't necessarily see it change each month, but 4 months,
or even the quarterly as in 3 months ago.
Yeah, so we can do a 3 month, what's happened in the last 3 months comparing the 2 pies, so you can actually see whether it's going worse or better.
There was a discussion came up at our Kaipara meeting that they were concerned about the sewage plant there as well, Colin. And I see it's not in the red yet. That must be compliant.
Just advise you that we recently issued tailback notices.
Okay.
The Kaipara ones. That includes diagram.
Is that the screen? The screen wasn't working or something?
I think it's probably more in relation to non-compliance with water quality conditions, but I can give you those details.
Okay. So they were concerned about the smell of sewage coming down there.
Just remembering that I will provide the data in the next audit.
Yep.
And solution as well.
John, you got your hand up?
Yeah, Colin, are you concerned with the 2 housing developments that will probably go ahead in Kaipara with the wastewater system that's, very, very old, and there's an investment needed, I imagine, to bring it up to standard, but I know that's Kaipara District Council's issue, but you sort of going forward, like I don't believe they have much money coming out of the development that the council can use, because their contribution from developers is, I believe, 1% or something. So it will land up on probably the Dargle people themselves to upgrade the sewage system, which I believe might cost $22,000 per household.
Again, for the chair, that is a good question generally throughout the region about in terms of the impact of further development on the infrastructure that's supporting that development. It's not only water and other infrastructure, and it really comes down to, yes, they need to still comply with their existing consent. So if they start dragging out doing some upgrades with improved maintenance, then it potentially can catch up with them and cause non-compliance issues. So thanks for that, then we can follow up with the agency and I can check with the recent application they factored that into the application.
This one. All right. Do it.
Action 30, page 375 on marine protection and development. So we're identifying a budget shortfall to implement the plan. What is our plan to workshop that or look at our end of years, or how are we going to fill that gap, please?
Sorry, Councillor, I'm just trying to
Yep,
look.
yep, no, just trying to find it.
My what?
375, action 30, down the bottom. Have I got different page numbers on?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, I've got those as well. It's just pages different.
Is it in the biosecurity section?
371.
You have a table on Taiki Te Tiriti o Waitangi strategic intent, and there's like 31, there's a table of 31 actions. Yeah, and I'm asking it because this is the Rahui Moana that we've established with Hapu. Yeah, so I'm asking if there's a budget shortfall, how are you proposing for us to address that?
Kia ora, Councillor, through the chair. Oriel, just correct me if I get this wrong.
Don and I are ready for you.
Yeah. So the action 30, the marine protection and development, as I recall, within Taiki is broader than just the Rahui Tapu. That was just one aspect, and I think there were 3 other action or bullet points in that action. The Rahui Tapu, we should now have budget through the LPP that have now approved sufficient budget to implement those 2 Rahui Tapu as planned and workshopped with council. I think there are some other budget requirements that as we work through action 30, so action 30 I don't think was a priority 1 area, and it's only just been endorsed by council in February, that there will be some subsequent, we need to come back and workshop with council through subsequent annual plans around what that future budget looks like for the broader package around marine protection and development. But the Rahui Tapu part itself, my understanding, I'm looking at Don and Oriel, is that we've got sufficient budget and capacity there to do the partnership and do the implementation as we've put it on with council.
That's great. I think that we have an excellent opportunity, as a region to lead out the country on marine protection. And we've signed on for 30 by 30, 30% of protected areas by 2030. And I think this is a great model for us to really lean into. So thank you, Jono and the team.
And just to note that that's a workshop this afternoon, as there are proposals from MPI around reviewing whether regional councils do actually have a role in this space or not. And yeah, that's something we're looking forward to some direction from council as to how we should engage with MPI as they go through that review process.
Jack.
Just 2 small matters. One, I'd like to congratulate the Coast Care team for their fantastic effort this winter. And all the planting schemes. It's quite ambitious. So well done, team. And just one little question on regarding Koutou Street planting program. I assume that there's no planting this year because we're still waiting on a report to the what's it called, finance, investment, and
solar panel.
That whole committee on the future use of that land, which might include solar farm. Is that correct? So the question was, there's no more planting this year because we're waiting on a report for future use.
Yeah, I don't think we'd want. Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't need to plant there if we're going to put solar panels.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Okay. So can we have all in favour?
Aye.
Against? All right. Page 378, item 7.4, quarterly and end of financial year people and culture report. I have a mover and a seconder.
Move it.
John. Second, I'll second it, Jeff. Okay, any discussion, John?
Yeah, I like graphs and, I quite enjoy reading the stuff. On page 387, looking at turnover going back to 2018-19, it's almost back to that level. Can't quite remember what the reason was at 2020, but we got COVID and everyone decided to leave. And what's that about? Let the three waters in Wellington. Sorry.
I know.
Right.
It was when you started being able to work remotely, so then people could start working for Auckland and Wellington and get paid a lot more.
Yep, that was one of the contributing factors, yes.
Yeah.
And there are other graphs there that are quite intriguing as well. And there'll be 388, and that third one down talks about able to voice my opinion without fear of negative consequences. And that came up quite a bit red, so that may be an area we do possibly work on. But generally, I thought it was all reasonably okay. Thank you.
Yep. Steve.
Through you, Chair, just in the overview on page 378, refers to an increase in annual leave entitlement this quarter. This may be in part be due to the increased sick leave that was taken during this time. Just wonder how that ties in, because I would have thought that increased sick leave doesn't have any impact on an increase in annual leave entitlement.
Bruce.
Yeah, the thing here is that if people are sick, then they will be deferring their annual leave. They'll be catching up on workload potentially. So that may be a driving factor in response to that, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
It's interesting how you can follow the chart with summer months where people don't get sick into winter, isn't it? And they're all reflective on that. Any others? Peter Lucas, did you have a hand up?
Yeah, and it's just carrying on from what has been raised by John, which is under the headline diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging. John drew our attention to the graph that has quite almost 10% there as a figure under a subheading that says able to voice my opinion without fear of negative consequences. I'd just like to learn, is there any documentation or is there a report with recommendations that this information may have come from?
Well, you go. So yeah, this was undertaken as a baseline survey. So we've got our new DEIB strategy in place. So we want to record a baseline to see where people were at, understand what we need to do to improve those DEIB metrics. So that's what's the basis of it.
Okay, and so in terms of that statement, able to voice my opinion without fear of negative consequences, can you shed any light on what else that might include or mean?
No, I can't. I'd need to go back to the survey and just drill down to see what the narrative responses were. And if we drill down on that, I could perhaps unpick that a bit more, but at the present time, I can't provide you an answer.
Kia ora, because I do think that's a significant number, almost 10%. And under the heading diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging, I'm just wondering what that expression of diversity might include.
Okay, Bruce, get back to okay, good. So you'd share a copy of the survey, what was put out? So that's as far as you've got so far?
Yeah, I can go back and have a survey and share that with us.
Kia ora. If it is offered to be shared with me, I accept that offer and look forward to considering the information. Thank you.
Kia ora, Chair. I wonder if we just, to all councillors, share the diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging policy and strategy itself. Yeah. And then also we can share the what the survey was and what the results are, so you can see it's the first time we've had a policy or a strategy, and then we've also got an implementation plan underneath it of what actions as an organisation we're looking at taking to improve ourselves from a diversity, equity and inclusion perspective. So I think we can just share an email with all governance. Just what we're doing in that space.
And in closing, I'd just like to thank John for drawing our attention to that.
Yeah. All right, do we have any other discussion around this report, Jack?
Just one little matter. There's been some really great trends here. Vacancies are down, turnovers at 10%, which is kind of perfect for an organisation. Recruitment is success rate is high, and internal promotion, which is something I really believe in, is high. So they're all good stats. Just wondering if we've got any analysis around why that's been so successful. Is that our improved employment conditions?
Yep.
That we have at the moment, like the 9-day fortnight, and any other factors? Is it salary? What is
I don't think I'd put it down to any one factor. There has been quite a focus for ELT for our organisation, and it's around a suite of package of initiatives that we've been trying to roll out. I'd also highlight there are a number of pleasing trends in there. One that I had highlighted in here myself was 2022, we had 45% of our turnover were people leaving for better career opportunities. That's now down to 31%. So I think there are a number of initiatives. I wouldn't put it down to any single one, councillor, that is impacting on both the lowering of our turnover, but also people not leaving because of a lack of career opportunities and career progression opportunities within the organisation.
We did receive that email this month. Was that shared to councillors?
No, we just shared it.
Okay, there was a lovely email from one of the workers. I'll share with you guys. Johnny just dropped it to me, how well he enjoys the 9-day fortnight. Importance to his life, and it's a real pleasure to work here. So that was nice. Any other discussion?
Just an observation here.
Yeah.
With what the government is doing and just establishing jobs, administrative jobs in Wellington will affect the marketplace as far as employment goes, and that will have effects here too.
John?
The other thing is too that I've noticed, particularly on this side, there's a lot of work drying up. There's a lot of carpenters and plumbers and people looking for work and haven't got work. So when there's a decline in the economy, people are probably more likely to stay in the job they're in.
Okay, councillor. Any other discussions around here? All right, so all in favour to accept this report? Aye. Against? Okay, legislative compliance, half yearly report, January to June, 7.5. Samuel, then. Samuel, would you like to come up? Yes. We'll have a mover and a secondary mover report. We have Joe. Amy. Okay. Any questions? Just as long as they know who to ask questions. So, Deanne?
Yeah, the legislation of settlements for Te Heku tribes, why were they pointed out only this document? You've got Te Rarawa settlement, you've got Kaupori settlement, Ngāti Kuri settlement, rentals up Forestry Rental Trust Act in 2015. I understand why that is important in this use, because it doesn't have any of the other iwi settlements here.
Because it's simply been oversight out of half, I think. We haven't listed out all the legislation. We do say in the narration below that there are several pieces of legislation that also have relevance as well. It's probably our oversight, Dan, so we can look.
I'm not just, I just want to know why it's here. If it's a good reason for it to be there, it'd be good for us to understand.
Or all probably knows.
The first one is the main one is then what's our responsibility to Tōneroa Tuhi Board. So these legislations, so historical, we have some specific responsibilities within regard to their governance. Also, in terms of the settled iwi, we need our teams to be aware of the legislation that's linked to that and the history of that. So I'm wondering when we do this work, it's often a piece of legislation so that whoever's looking at this type of reporting knows there's something here, and yet that's not the definitive list. There's certainly the whole history of settlement legislation, and all the teams need to be conscious of when they start to look at what's our legislative responsibility and how we responding that within the role of our council.
On that,
No, that's on. It's on just checks well. Sorry.
I think we need to be thorough, since this is a legal compliance, report, legislative compliance report. It would be good to list all of it. And it would be good for our councillors to have an understanding of what each one of how we fit into each one. I think that would be a great workshop, actually. And the MACA, I don't see the MACA on here, which is a very significant one going on now, where we actually have a role for resource consents to, it directs us as a council to take action. So I'd like to see that measured.
You'd like to see a workshop around this?
Yeah, particularly around the settlement acts. Yeah. Because I think that, we could improve our understanding around our responsibilities. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, take that on board.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chair? Because there's also opportunity for us to understand what iwi expectations are in terms of how we address our responsibilities in so much as claims before the Waitangi Tribunal, or claims that are in their formative negotiation phase with government, because there's always opportunity for us to learn about those expectations before central government decisions are made or cabinet decisions are made, and then we can sort of front foot how we may well have to take on board things. And I'm not saying we go into detail about that, but if we just to keep ourselves abreast of what those key issues are, because the key issues may often they won't always be the same, but there will be perhaps key themes that different groups that are going through settlement want to have addressed. And I just think that's important for us to be aware of.
So Uri, you have to take that on board as an action.
Sure.
And maybe if you have any questions, ask Peter Lucas Jones if you need, just to clarify, like you said, we don't want to turn deaf, but definitely as myself, I would definitely like to know what role we play in this, because you can get caught out. And I think communication is key.
And Mr. Chair, I'm not drawing that to our attention to heap work on an individual. What I'm drawing our attention to is what the key issues are that that we can all draw our attention to in our respective work streams, because this is a theme that will go across a number of work plans. There isn't one particular work plan, whilst we might be discussing it in the context of this paper. Those key issues will present themselves in different ways in different work streams that we have people that are responsible for.
It is a big lot of work, like these. Are you looking at mainly what our claims areas are? Do you want to break it down, Oriel?
We've also got two independent tangata whenua advisors that are part of this, that are more expert than any of us could be because of their current roles and responsibilities. I think so that the two-pronged approach, we can workshop with our council where things are at. I think that's important. So I think that's the first one. But then the second one would be being able to facilitate bringing in iwi through Te Kaha o Tānui, or at least having time with our two independent tangata whenua advisors to bring some strength and expertise to the conversation. But the first one is pretty straight.
Okay, all right. Well, so you're happy to take that one?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, just wanted to reiterate that, I'd like to see that transparency of kaha Māori that as a council that we have that relationship with iwi, certainly that we can develop that relationship on a whole of council rather than at a higher level.
All right, okay, taken on board. Right, all in favour of this recommendation received?
Right.
Against? Passed. Okay, page 393, 8.1. Receipt of committee minutes. Okay.
Should you move the?
Yep. Anybody else that's involved there, Amy? Okay. Any issues you want to bring up? I think it's just the recommendation.
Ongoing.
Okay. No questions?
Hang on.
Doing all of them?
Page 415. Working zone.
They're up to
Committee's 415 is up. Regional Transport Committee, is that still in 8.1? I think it is, isn't it? Yes, it is. Look, page 4, so, page 415, it says at the Regional Transport Committee, they had a verbal update from Kiwi Rail. I think we should be really expecting written updates, not verbal updates. I mean, there may be a reason because it was given by an acting director, but you know, there's a tendency to forget about verbal updates. If you've got something in writing, at least we can refer to them. I know we get a good newsletter from time to time, but I'd like to see, even if it's only that document, I think that this committee deserves a written update from Kiwi Rail. This is the Regional Transport Committee, not a Regional Roading Committee.
Could I comment?
Yes, you may.
Yeah. Look, Kiwi Rail have been really attentive coming to our meetings. Eric was away on that day, but you know, he made sure someone attended and gave a good verbal presentation. There's Kiwi Rail putting a lot of work into base work into the Marsden Point spur. The intention is they're going to have a route sufficiently defined so they can actually get accurate costings on it, so they work out and give the government cost estimates so they know whether they're going to invest in it or not. So the actual work they're putting into it is good. The acknowledgement is that the priority should be on the Marsden Point spur, investing on that. We can take priority over the Cowrie to Oturia section, because that section there doesn't really function unless there is a route out to Marsden Point. So yeah, we're pretty pleased. The Kiwi Rail are a non-voting member of the Regional Transport Committee, but they've been very diligent in their attendance. And we've had good reports. So we've, you know, it's been quite good.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
yeah,
but a verbal update on a verbal update doesn't mean much to me. Really, I think you've got to get something you can actually hold people to account for. I mean, thank you, Joe. It's a good. You gave us a good précis, but you know, I think it's Kiwi Rail's responsibility to provide written reports.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Joe's sure of that.
I'd like to see that.
Amy, please. You got any conversation?
No, I didn't have any questions. I was just happy to second it.
Okay. All right. Recommendation is to receive these. So all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay, passed. Okay, we got the working updates. Item 8.2, page 4. Who's one? At the report working parties update we received.
I'll move this.
Okay.
Great transport code.
Second it?
Yeah, I'll see.
Okay, sure.
You were covering it off later, so I don't need to say anything.
No, okay, all right.
Oh, just make a comment regarding the Awanui. There's a pretty scant report. This and I actually think in these committees that have got a bit of responsibility, there should be some more formality as far as moving and seconding and approving budgets, which we actually did. It's not recorded. We actually strongly supported what our staff have done as far as their last year's works program and their future works program were point by point approved. The extremely good finances of this this particular Awanui river management is amazing. It's the staff and those sentiments haven't been picked up in here, but the committee up there is extremely satisfied and grateful of what our staff have done there. It's an amazing committee. They get reach consensus. Everybody is just this really focused on the big picture up there, and we get outcomes. And comes back to good information. Amazing staff up there and from NRC down here.
Thank you, Chair. All right.
We have a lot of little impromptu catch-ups, Mr. Chair, as well. Like people observing and making positive comment on the works coming down there things have stopped at the moment because of the weather. But I think the way that we've managed to get the support required in the community is testament to the effort of not only the staff, but also those people that are on the committee. So yeah, I would like to support the comments made by Councillor Carr. Kia ora.
Excellent. Well done, Joe. You've been there from the start too, Joe. So awesome journey. All right. So can we vote on these? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay. We need business with public excluded now. So
We're happy to move.
Second, Rick and Marty. Yeah. So do we have? Yeah.
Just got to wait till we out, are we?
Yeah.
Just about to.
All in favour?
Aye.
Against?
All done.
Right.